Hello and welcome to my new on demand workshop training called The Alchemy of Productivity, hosted by yours truly, Alexis, also known as Miss Trenchcoat. So, for today's class, let's talk about what we are going to be covering. The first thing I want to talk about in the class today is my new course of study into the topic of productivity. For any of you guys who've been curious, this is essentially what I've been working on for the last 2 years. The next thing I want to touch on is that I was wrong about productivity. I know, might seem a little surprising, but most of what I've been teaching you guys about productivity for the last several years here on my channel have been not entirely correct. Next, I want to talk to you about the alchemy of productivity. So if you are hearing this and you're thinking, what is that? We're going to go in depth in today's class. Next, we're going to talk about the process of transmutation. This is something that falls into this alchemy of productivity concept, and we are going to be talking about that today. And then I want to talk to you about where do we go from here. After you've learned the information from today's class, what are your next steps? What am I expecting from you? What should you do with this information? First of all, let me start by introducing myself. If you are not yet familiar with me, welcome to my channel. My name is Alexis, but I'm known as Miss Trenchcoat all across the internet. I'm an online entrepreneur who designs and sells productivity tools, strategies, and skills to help you manifest success with less stress. So if that sounds interesting to you, I'll leave some links down below in the description box for where you can check out more of my work online. And feel free to download some of my latest free productivity tools over at thecharmedshop.com. And one free productivity tool I highly recommend that you check out is my productivity toolbox. So if you are new to paper planning or still haven't found Planner Piece, I welcome you to download this productivity toolbox. It is free and filled with print-on-demand tools that you can use to get started with my functional planning philosophy. I will have the link down in the description box for you to easily access this excellent free resource. So let's begin by talking about what I've been up to for the past 2 years in terms of this new course of study. So things have been changing for me over the past 2 years. If you're a regular member of my community, you may have noticed that I've been in a period of transition in my life that began in about September of 2016, although most likely you would have noticed it around January or February of 2017 when my video schedule began to change. Part of this change has to do with my weight loss, but even that had more to do with the new course of study I'd undertaken on the subject of productivity from a metaphysical level. If you've been with me for a while, you know I've always found ways to incorporate occult or esoteric philosophy into my content. We would normally call this woo-woo, but for the purpose of this workshop, I will call it what it really is, metaphysics. So what you may not already know about me is that I've actually been a physics nerd since I was in high school. Although you might think that I excel at reading and writing, math and science were usually my best subjects in high school, but I never pursued them formally because careers in those fields just didn't interest me. So I was like a closet quantum mechanics nerd for a long time, even naming my blog Strange and Charmed after a pair of quarks from quantum physics. Now, I'm not claiming to be an expert in the field of physics. I'm simply someone who spent significantly more time than the average person independently reading and researching on the topic for a number of years. So what I began to notice over the years during this course of study was that so many people I knew, including myself, often had inexplicable synchronicities, opportunities, and miracles that didn't make sense on a material level, but from understanding the basics of quantum theory made perfect sense. Philosophies like The Secret or the Law of Attraction seemed to be bridging the gap between a concrete physical reality and a reality where time, space, and material are a matrix-style illusion completely under our individual control. But for me, even those philosophies left huge gaps in understanding that kept them filed strictly away in the mystical category, not to be considered seriously. But things just never seemed to add up. In terms of my work, I wanted to do everything I could to teach my community how to be more productive. But for a long time, I felt like I was trapped on a shallow surface level of productivity science, unable to bring you the metaphysical methodologies I often used for my own success. I acknowledge that this was mostly fear on my part. I was, and to some degree am still afraid that seriously discussing metaphysical topics in terms of productivity would turn off my audience or make me look foolish for believing in what some might consider non-science. It's always been my goal to bring you content that is directly actionable and has a proven track record of success for myself and others. But until now, I've been holding a lot back. So why I created this workshop? If you haven't noticed, my content has been slightly shifting since my consistent return to my YouTube channel, and things are going to continue to shift in this new direction. Earlier this year, I announced a documentary that I'm working on and started calling myself an alchemist, but I totally dropped the ball on explaining what was going on and why. For now, I've rescheduled the work on the documentary for 2019 after an initial series of filming left me feeling like I had left all of you in the dark about the new direction for my content and to some extent my brand. I hope this workshop today helps to catch you up, teach you the fundamentals of the new philosophy I'll be incorporating into my content, and sets the stage for what you can expect from me moving forward. So, next thing we want to talk about is I was wrong about productivity. I think this is really where the crux of all of this information begins. So productivity is not about how much you do. I realize this is a common misconception and one I have been negligent in clarifying to you in the past. Productivity is not about hustle. It's not about getting as much done as you possibly can. In fact, that is the opposite of what productivity is to me. To me, productivity is about strategy and getting your desired outcome with the least amount of action or effort possible. Think of productivity like a game of chess. That's the way I think about it. And in chess, if you are someone who is very skilled, you would be considered a chess grandmaster. So a chess grandmaster should be able to beat a novice opponent in just a few moves. And that's how I want to be when it comes to productivity. I want to be strategic about how I spend my time and what I put my effort into, because effort does not equal success. So on this concept of effort not equaling success, this is a major mindset shift for some people, I understand. And if you're hearing this and feeling a lot of resistance, I completely understand that as well. We are taught that hard work equals success, but I think we have all seen and experienced situations where our effort didn't yield the success we expected. I've seen people work hard for years to achieve an outcome that they honestly could have achieved much earlier if they let go of the expectation that their success had to be hard fought or needed to be difficult to achieve. So you are probably wondering then, if action and effort are not the solution to finding success and have little to do with being productive, what then does bring success? And that's what leads me to the alchemy of productivity. So if you're thinking alchemy, what is any of this? What does this have to do with? You're not alone. I'm going to explain it to you right now. So I know alchemy sounds like a weird word to use in terms of productivity. So that's why I wanted to devote a whole video to explaining this new philosophy of productivity to you. If you've been a follower of mine for a while, you may have noticed that I changed my title on social media to Alchemist. Why? What even is alchemy? So alchemy was once the medieval forerunner to the science of chemistry. Before we had a scientific understanding of the particles and chemicals that make up matter, alchemy was the study of the seemingly magical process of creation, transformation, and combination. So how does alchemy relate to productivity then? The essence of alchemy is to understand how to effect change in our lives by manifesting our desires the way chemistry explains how we can take hydrogen and oxygen and transmute it into water. I'm an alchemist, or that's what I'm calling myself now, because I am preoccupied with the transmutation of energy into matter. And that process is the essence of manifestation. So I design tools, teach strategies, and help people develop skills around planning, prioritization, and time management because those are the processes by which human beings transmute their energy into real material success. Now, there is one other element from the history of alchemy that aligns very closely with the goals of productivity, and that is the concept of the alchemist's stone. If you're familiar with alchemy, the book The Alchemist, or even Harry Potter, you may already know what the alchemist or philosopher's stone is. Medieval alchemists were preoccupied with the stone that they considered to be the pinnacle of achievement. The stone was a substance that could theoretically turn any base metal into gold and would simultaneously produce a byproduct called the elixir of life, which would essentially make you immortal if you drank it and kept drinking it. So, isn't that interesting? The pinnacle of the study of alchemy is the creation of a substance that would give the possessor an infinite supply of money and time. Money and time. Isn't that the point of productivity as well? To use our energy strategically so that we are meeting our needs within the material world while having the freedom to pursue everything we want from life. So to me, alchemy and productivity are linked. They are a single course of study to me, learning to manifest through the transmutation of energy into matter. So let's talk more about this process of transmutation because I'm sure many of you are still thinking that this all seems a little nuts, a little bit crazy, a little bit too mystical, too good to be true. And I've really been able to identify some real significant strategies and processes for how you make this a reality in your life. The alchemists of history may not have been able to develop the alchemist's stone, but I think that productivity and the study of productivity in itself may be a new strategy to achieve the same ends that that stone was trying to create. So, transmuting energy into matter. So, now that you know my new philosophy on the alchemy of productivity, let's discuss how this process actually works. I know it may sound a little sci-fi when I discuss manifestation via transmutation, but really it's not. This philosophy is all about quantum mechanics and ancient wisdom that science and quantum physics are just now finally catching up to. So the first thing I want to do is demystify some of the terms I'm using so it's easier to understand and follow this process. First of all is the term manifestation. That may seem like some sort of magical term about things appearing out of nowhere, but all manifestation means is to make something real. Manifestation comes from the Latin prefix mani, which means hand. So to make something manifest means to make something that one could physically touch. So when we manifest something, we are making it real, bringing it into physical existence. The process of transmuting energy is all about taking things from 5D, or the fifth dimension, and bringing them into 3D, or the third dimension. Again, 5D and 3D sound weird. They sound mystical, right? But the fifth dimension is a place where potential energy resides. It's the place where ideas live. If you come up with an idea, that idea is a real thing. It's just not a physical thing that we can touch. So in order to touch that idea, we bring it into the third dimension, which is our physical reality. Let me give you a real life example of how this works. You may have heard of a man named Henry Ford. He invented the first automobile in about 1903 and is the namesake of the Ford Motor Company. Before Ford developed the first automobile, he had an idea for this new solution to the transportation problem. That idea was part of the fifth dimension. It wasn't part of the third dimension before its creation because it wasn't something that existed before he invented it. And it didn't belong to the fourth dimension because no matter how long we waited, horses were never going to evolve into cars. And that's what the fourth dimension is all about. So 3D, the third dimension, is our physical reality. It's the reality of matter. It's where we live, the things we can touch. It's our physical bodies. It's our lives around us. 4D, or the fourth dimension, is the dimension of time. So like I said, It didn't matter how long we waited. Horses were never going to evolve into cars. It wasn't a matter of time before the automobile was going to come into existence. It was literally an act of manifestation and transmuting energy into matter. And so then we have the 5D, that fifth dimension, which is the metaphysical. Okay, so that's the energy behind physical space. So when I say 5D, I mean energy. 4D is time, and 3D is our physical reality or matter. So the process of transmutation is bringing things from the 5D, from energy, into 3D or matter. So 5D is actually a true mathematical concept. It's not something someone just made up. And there are more than 5 dimensions, but we're sticking to the 5 for the purpose of productivity. So back to Ford. When he came up with the vision for the automobile, it was in the 5D, or in that potential energy state. He needed to make a plan to produce it and bring it into the 3D, into physical matter. So he developed a plan to manifest the automobile. He literally manifested it by transmuting from the 5D to the 3D. He literally transmuted energy into matter by taking a concept and manifesting it into physical reality. So when you have ideas for things you want to create, or projects you want to accomplish, or success you want to reach, it exists in the 5D. You just haven't manifested it into the 3D yet, where you can touch it and experience it using the principles of transmutation of energy into matter. There are 2 strategies for transmutation. Okay, so there are actually 2 ways you can go about transmuting energy into matter, aka manifesting your goals and objectives from the 5D into the 3D. Because we live in the 3D and experience a physical manifestation of reality, one of these strategies is active. But because we also have a mind that connects to the 5th dimension, the second strategy is passive. Both strategies have 4 steps that mirror one another on a physical and non-physical level. The active strategy for manifestation, let's start with that one. Step number 1 in this strategy is to identify something you want as a goal or objective. Step 2 is to create an action plan of steps to take to achieve your goal. Step 3 is to take steps to execute on completing the steps that you've planned out. And step number 4 is to experience your manifestation as part of your 3D reality. Actually get the thing that you identified as a goal or objective. So if this process sounds a lot like project planning to you, it is, okay? So this is essentially a 4-step process of project planning. Identify your objective, create an action plan of steps that you can achieve, and take those steps to complete the actions that you've listed out. And then all of a sudden, you're going to have the thing that you wanted, right? That's the essence of project planning and the essence of the active strategy for manifestation. The passive strategy for manifestation. Step number 1 is to visualize something you want as a goal or objective. So again, these steps 1 for 1 mirror each other. Step 2 is to raise your vibration to believe you already have met your objective. Step 3 is to focus your attention on a sense of expectation for its arrival. And step 4 is to experience your manifestation as part of your 3D reality. If this process sounds a lot like what you may have learned from Law of Attraction, it is. Again, each one of these steps mirrors the active strategy in terms of identifying or visualizing what you want, creating a plan to actually make it happen. When you actually create a project plan, in a way, you are raising your vibration so that you believe that you can achieve the objective that you've set out for yourself. Then step 3, focus your attention on a sense of expectation for its arrival. Isn't that what you're doing when you are executing on a project plan? You're taking the steps necessary that you believe are going to lead you to a certain result. And literally, that's just focusing your attention on getting things done. So if you, in this passive strategy, focus your attention on a sense of expectation, it is going to lead to the manifestation. And then step number 4 is the same for both. You actually get the thing that you had visualized or mapped out as a goal or objective. Now, the 2 models of manifestation. So we have these 2 models for manifestation of our objectives and transmuting our thoughts and ideas, aka our energy, into reality as a part of our physical lives, aka matter. Okay, so these 2 models of manifestation are two ways that you can transmute energy into matter, one using an active method and one using a passive method. One is active, project planning, which works because on one level, we experience a physical reality where action often leads to results. And one of these methods is passive, visualization, which works because on another level, we experience a metaphysical reality where we often attract the results we seek. I say often because neither process is fully understood or works 100% of the time. But I find that when I combine both, I get the best results. So where do we go from here? This was just the beginning. As I mentioned earlier, the purpose of this workshop was to introduce you to the concept of the alchemy of productivity. Moving forward, I'm going to be integrating metaphysical concepts that further illustrate and support manifestation in order to equip you with more tools, strategies, and skills to manifest success with less stress and hopefully less action. Because I know we are all trying to wrangle our ever-growing to-do list, and the purpose of my channel is to share strategies that work for me and can work for you to get the results you are looking for in your life. So if you are loving this information, if you sat here during this brief class today, this workshop, and really loved this and are ready to hear more right now, I'm going to leave you links to a few podcast interviews with me that I have given on this topic. No two interviews are the same, so if you want to get some more background on my new philosophies, definitely check the description box for those links. It's not like the same interview I gave with different people. Literally each one of these interviews is completely unique, so I would recommend checking out all of them if you are interested in this topic, or you can cherry pick a few if you just want to get a general idea of where we're going from here. But all of them do have valuable information that does differ. Now, what I ask of you moving forward is I don't expect that every single one of you will be as enthusiastic about these new ideas as I am, but I know many of you will find this information to be a breath of fresh air within our community. For too long, we've been taught that if we want something, it requires hard work, dedication, and hustle, but that's just not the full picture. I ask that you approach my content with an open mind and to join me in a spirit of discovery to find a better way to live a successful life, whatever that means to you. And I hope you will engage with this new content, ask questions, and give it a shot. For so long, many of us have been searching for a silver bullet to end our productivity struggles, and although I can't say these ideas will work like magic, I have seen how they have transformed my life in many different ways and how they can also change yours if you want them to. So stay tuned. My content isn't going to take a 180-degree shift, but I'll be incorporating some new ideas and mixing up my regular content to hopefully bring you more value and knowledge. I'd love to hear from you on what you think of the information I shared today, the pieces you still have questions about, and any topics you may want to have me cover. So leave me a comment and let me know if you're with me for this new journey down in the comment section. And don't forget, give this video a like. Feel free to share this video with others who might find it enlightening. And if you want more of the behind the scenes of my productivity life and business, make sure you're following me on Instagram at MissTrenchcoat. And if you are not yet subscribed to my channel, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button for more awesome videos by me. And until next time, bye-bye.